in the fight against AIDS could kill your computer news, it has been revealed from Torrent Freak and the Hacker News that the torrent client uTorrent, microtorrent, whatever, silently installs a LiteCoin Mining Client. Wow, gotta love it. So some software called Epic Scale gets installed on the computer without the consent of users. Possibly more like people just clicked through it. I don't know. Who can say for sure on that one? And it wastes a lot of the CPU resources. So it has the potential to actually burn out your system if your fan and cooling is not particularly good. And particularly on laptops, that's a real issue. So in all fairness to Epic Scale, they have put the end user agreements. It does say, we believe in making the world a better place. Join us and help support organisations to cure AIDS, provide fresh water, plant trees for generations to come. By installing Epic Scale, your computer screensaver solves math problems. Yeah, math problems. Yeah, they're right. To help provide resources, blah, 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 blah. Technically, they're saying what they're going to do to your system. So who can disagree? But of course, people don't read these end user agreements. Who can say whether the money is actually going to AIDS charities, or I don't know. Maybe it's going to developers' pockets. That's always an issue. And this was really the point where I wanted to head with this story. That a little while back, there was a story from Elementary OS that they were complaining. Is that the right word? I'm going to go with complaining. That users have downloaded their Luna operating system over 2 million times, and 99.875% of the people who downloaded it did not pay them anything. A tiny 0.125% did donate. So I know there's not a huge comparison between uTorrent, which is just a free torrent client, versus a free open source operating system. But this is just a handy story I had that kind of emphasised the point that perhaps free open source projects do not get particularly much funding. Now, I don't know the funding details of all the projects, so it'd be interesting to know a bit more. That do the developers receive enough to get a couple of beer tokens every month, or is it a salary that they could potentially live on? Sad as it is to say, in the Linux world, I do believe it is more along the lines of the beer token end. Certainly developers working on like the kernel, now that is well funded. It's just when it's coming down towards the operating systems, yeah, okay, maybe they might get a bit more funding though. But then it's the software as well. And I did make a post of this in Google Plus that said there's actually a lot of software in Linux. Who can say what there is on their system, and have they donated to everything? Because you can't just donate to the operating system and expect the owners of that project to pass all the funding along to all the other upstream projects they use. So you would have to go and look through and donate to everything that way. Well, that's a lot of work, and I want to go into this more in a later video, I think. But that's what I'm thinking. Is it that the developers of uTorrent are not getting enough money and therefore trying a sneaky way of silently installing LiteCoin mining software on the user's computer? Or is it they do actually want to genuinely help AIDS charities? I don't know. The news on Torrent Freak are a bit kinder to uTorrent compared to the Hacker News, but I've noticed this with Hacker News, they do like to emphasise some of the stories. Anyway, just for a laugh, I did go and install uTorrent earlier. I wouldn't really go as far as to call it microtorrent anymore now. It's more like mega, no, giga, tera, petatorrent. Petatorrent is a good name for it now. Right, I did go and install petatorrent, and you do get the software agreement, the end user license agreement to go through. Yeah, I did all that. But then you get this pop-up saying, oh yes, would you like this and that and everything else as well? And I just went through, and I did actually look at the end user agreement again, and bloody hell, this was a long one. Basically, what I ended up with by agreeing to it was something called Search Protector. I'm Didn't actually see it protect me from anything though, although it did say in the agreements that I would be handing over all this various information, and although it was not personally identifiable that it was me, they were going to take my computer's MAC address, IP address, and a variety of other information there, so they could really work out who it is. Also in the install, I ended up with Skype on my system, so all in all, through the crapware that got installed, I ended up wasting about 200 meg of RAM, thanks, and a bit of CPU resources. No Bitcoin or LiteCoin Mining Client ended up on there, but maybe that will come later on. Oh, incidentally, this memory usage was without PetaTorrent running, so it would be even worse with that torrent client actually running. We don't get PetaTorrent here in Linux, but my choice here is Deluge. There are plenty of other choices. By the way, don't look at what I'm actually downloading at the moment. There's a few movies. I lost all my data on my NAS recently, and I've had to be re-downloading everything. So in the last 2 weeks, I have downloaded 3.7 terabytes of data. Yes. Marvellous. But I'm getting there. Anyway, that was news that uTorrent have silently installed Bitcoin or LiteCoin mining software on users' computers. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all later.